Good day to all. My name is Anita Durrett, and I'm the Director with the Investor Alliance for Human Rights, an initiative of the Interfaith Center on Corporate Responsibility. Thank you for tuning in to our second video log of 4 that we are presenting to introduce investors to our 5-series webinar to be conducted throughout 2022 on the corporate responsibility to respect human rights, or CR2R. Today's vlog focuses on what human rights are and why they are important. Our CR2R series will systematically explore the elements of the corporate responsibility to respect human rights as framed in the UN Guiding Principles to inform and support investors as they assess and engage with their portfolio companies on their human rights performance, and in particular for investors who are involved in the collective engagement initiative coordinated by the Investor Alliance with companies' human rights performance as ranked in the Corporate Human Rights Benchmark, or CHRB. Each of the 5 webinars will examine in greater depth a different element of CR2R. So what are human rights? They are what every individual is entitled to in order to live a life of fundamental welfare, dignity, and equality. They are rights that are inherent to all human beings, regardless of nationality, place of residence, sex, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, sexual orientation, language, or any other status. Human rights are inalienable in that they are universally applicable and cannot be taken away from a person. Human rights are interdependent as the realization of one right contributes to the realization of other rights, and they are indivisible as no human rights can be selectively ignored. Human rights are generally distinguished between civil and political rights and economic, social, and cultural rights. Labor rights are particularly relevant as well because investors and portfolio companies can impact them through their investment and business activities. Investors and companies can impact on any number of rights and should prioritize addressing the most salient human rights risks based on scale, scope, and remediability. So, when we speak to human rights responsibilities, we are referring to internationally recognized human rights laws and conventions. At a minimum, the International Bill of Human Rights, which consists of the UN Declaration of Human Rights and the accompanying International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, which guarantees, for example, the right to work, the right to an adequate standard of living and to healthcare, and the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which guarantees the rights to privacy and free expression, the rights to equality and non-discrimination, among others. And there is the International Labour Organization, or the ILO Conventions on Labor Rights, encompassing rights such as the rights to freedom of association, collective bargaining, and freedom from forced labor and the worst forms of child labor. There are other relevant international and regional human rights instruments specific to different business activities and operating environments, and as well as to specific affected stakeholder groups who may be particularly at risk, for example, women, indigenous peoples, and children. The international and regional human rights instruments are often codified in national laws. Businesses should also comply with national laws while at the same time seeking to honor the principles of internationally recognized human rights when faced with conflicting requirements. Investors are linked to human rights impacts through their ownership in their portfolio companies. There are 3 ways in which businesses, including investors, are linked to adverse human rights impacts. They may have caused it by their own acts or omissions, or contributed to such impact by their business activities, either alongside or through external activities such as suppliers or customers, or they may be linked to adverse human rights impact through their business relationships. Investors should care about human rights in their investment activities and throughout their portfolio companies to protect people and planet. A rights-respecting business ensures the sustainability of investments, contributing to the attainment of the SDGs and meeting societal, stakeholder, client, and beneficiary expectations. This will ensure the long-term shareholder value of the company. It minimizes reputational, financial, business, legal, and regulatory risks. We hope that this has provided some information to help lay foundation and provide the framework as we delve further into our discussion on corporate responsibility to respect human rights throughout this webinar series. Stay tuned for our next Videolog on how human rights fits with an ESG framework. Thank you and have a good day.